The moment Roman Reigns swung that walking stick, WWE changed forever. But if you thought his shocking return ended with 2 brutal strikes, you're dead wrong. Because the aftermath wasn't about a single moment, it was about igniting a war that's already spiraling out of control. The Bloodline question. As Roman stood tall over Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, there was one question on everyone's mind: where was the Bloodline? Solo Sikoa, Jimmy Uso, even the lingering shadow of G. None of them were there. For years, Roman reigned with an army at his side. But now, he walked into battle alone, leaning on a stick and fueled only by rage. Was this Roman declaring independence from the Bloodline? Or was this Roman proving he didn't need anyone to fight his battles? The silence of his family spoke louder than any words. Breaker's rage. Braun Breaker wasn't done. He came back swinging, fueled by humiliation, spitting venom at Roman. "You're finished," he screamed, lunging forward. But Roman wasn't finished. Roman was reborn. With one knee strike, followed by another savage swing of the stick, Roman dropped Breaker again. The crowd roared. And for the first time since arriving in WWE, Braun Breaker looked vulnerable. The arrogance was gone. The smirk was gone. All that remained was raw fury and fear. Bronson Reed strikes back, but Bronson Reed is not a man who stays down. The big man rose, furious, storming at Roman like a freight train. The arena shook with every step. Roman swung again, but Reed caught the stick mid-air. For the first time, someone stopped the tribal chief's weapon. Reed ripped it out of Roman's hands and snapped it across his knee. The crowd gasped. The walking stick, the very symbol of Roman's return, was broken. Roman staggered back, stunned. Reed smirked. For a brief second, the monster had control. But then Roman did something no one expected. He smiled. Because the stick wasn't the weapon. He was. The Superman punch returns. With the crowd in a frenzy, Roman launched forward and hit Bronson Reed with a Superman punch that shook the arena. The big man collapsed like a skyscraper crumbling to the ground. The sound, the impact, it was the return of a move we thought we might never see again. Roman's power, Roman's speed, Roman's fury, it was still there. The broken stick didn't matter. Roman Reigns had just proven he didn't need it. The message to the future. Standing tall over both Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, Roman raised his fist and roared. This wasn't the tribal chief demanding acknowledgement. This wasn't the head of the table dictating orders. This was Roman Reigns telling the future of WWE one terrifying truth: you can't erase me. You can't replace me. The message was clear. Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed weren't just opponents. They were targets. And Roman wasn't stopping until they were crushed. The locker room reacts. Backstage, chaos erupted. The locker room was divided. Some wrestlers whispered that Roman was finished months ago, that this comeback was desperation. Others were shaken, admitting that Roman's return was more dangerous than ever. Because a Roman Reigns with nothing to lose? That's scarier than any tribal chief, scarier than any bloodline, scarier than any champion. The veterans knew it. The newcomers feared it. And the WWE Universe could feel it. The aftermath, a new bloodline? But here's where things get even scarier. Rumors began swirling almost immediately. If Roman doesn't have the bloodline at his side, will he build a new one? A darker, more dangerous faction fueled by his rage and betrayal? Imagine Roman aligning with unexpected allies, outsiders, hungry young stars, or even bitter enemies turned soldiers. This isn't just about revenge anymore. This is about war. And Roman is recruiting. Breaker and Reed's revenge. Don't think Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed are walking away quietly. The humiliation cut deep. The pain cut deeper. Both men are furious. Both men want revenge. Breaker has already vowed to finish what he started. Reed has promised to crush the so-called tribal chief for good. They're not retreating. They're not backing down. This isn't over. It's only beginning. And if you know anything about Roman Reigns, you know he's not backing down either. The war that's coming. Picture this: Roman Reigns, battered but unbroken, standing as the defiant king. Braun Breaker, the arrogant heir, desperate to take the throne. Bronson Reed, the monster who doesn't fear pain, coming for blood. This isn't just a rivalry. This is a war for the soul of WWE. A generational clash. The old guard versus the new. The legend versus the future. And the battlefield? Every arena, every pay-per-view, every moment Roman chooses to unleash his fury. The terrifying truth. Here's the terrifying truth WWE fans need to accept: Roman Reigns didn't return weak. He didn't return broken. He returned angrier. He returned meaner. He returned with a rage that no title, no bloodline, no glory can satisfy. This Roman isn't about acknowledgement. This Roman is about destruction. And Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed? They're the first sacrifices. The final image. The cameras cut as Roman stood tall, breathing heavy, blood in his eyes, fire in his veins. The broken stick at his feet. His enemies crawling on the mat. It was an image burned into history, not of a fallen tribal chief, but of a reborn predator. Roman Reigns has returned. And now, WWE must face the storm he brings. The question left behind. So now the question is this: who survives this war? Does Braun Breaker finally cement himself as the face of the new generation by burying Roman once and for all? Does Bronson Reed rise as the monster who slays the king? Or does Roman Reigns prove, once again, that this is still his island, his empire, his throne, and that no one, not even the future, can take it from him? The WWE Universe is divided. The chaos has only just begun. And Roman Reigns? He's ready to burn it all down. The arena lights dimmed, a tension that could be cut with a knife filling every corner of Monday Night Raw. Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, still leaning on his walking stick, advanced slowly toward Seth Rollins, who dared to hold his ground. Every step Roman took resonated like the heartbeat of an approaching storm. The WWE Universe watched, captivated, electrified, and enraged, because this wasn't just a confrontation, it was the reckoning that had been months in the making. Seth Rollins smirked, trying to provoke Roman, pointing at him, mocking the cane, mocking the struggle. But the tribal chief didn't react with words. He reacted with presence. Every inch he closed was dominance, every breath he exhaled carried menace. And the crowd? They erupted, torn between cheering for the return of a legend and recoiling in fear of the inevitable chaos about to unfold. Suddenly, Roman struck the mat with the walking stick, a sound so loud it seemed to shake the entire arena. Seth flinched, and in that instant, Roman grabbed him by the wrist and pulled him forward. The close-up cameras captured their eyes locking in unspoken war between two men whose legacies were colliding. Roman's gaze was fury incarnate, Seth's was defiance, but the edge of doubt was creeping in. Then Roman delivered a calculated strike, not with brute force alone but precision, targeting Seth's ribs, signaling that every swing of his stick, every movement, carried both pain and message. The WWE Universe erupted with a mixture of shock and excitement, commenting feverishly online, debating who would survive this confrontation. Seth attempted to retaliate, throwing wild punches, but Roman, even weakened by his recent struggles, countered with uncanny skill, showing that a walking stick did not define his limits. Each move was met with gasps and cheers. This wasn't just wrestling, it was storytelling in motion, raw, visceral, and unflinchingly real. Roman's breathing was heavy, sweat dripping, yet he remained a figure of control and authority. He whispered directly into Seth's ear, words that only Seth could hear: "You may have taken the spotlight, but the throne is mine. Remember that." Seth's arrogance faltered slightly, the smirk fading as he realized that Roman's return wasn't just about reclaiming status, it was about retribution, about showing that power, even when seemingly compromised, is never to be underestimated. The crowd was on its feet, chants echoing, debates raging. Some fans argued that Seth should capitalize on Roman's apparent vulnerability, while others warned that the tribal chief's cunning was far from diminished. Social media blew up with speculation, theories, and heated arguments. Could Roman fight again at full strength? Would Seth survive this relentless assault? The climax approached as Roman raised the stick once more, poised not just to strike, but to make a statement. The camera zoomed in on Seth, sweat glistening, muscles tense, as he prepared to counter. The tension was unbearable, and in a moment of pure theatrical brilliance, Roman's walking stick cracked under the weight of his strike attempt, snapping in two. The arena gasped collectively, a mix of horror and awe. But Roman didn't falter. He stepped forward, raw power emanating from every movement, showing that the weapon was secondary, the man behind it was the true force. Seth tried to push back, but the tribal chief's combination of experience, timing, and raw fury proved unstoppable. The clash reached its peak as Roman unleashed a series of devastating moves, each one punctuated by his legacy, each one reinforcing the idea that even with a cane, even after apparent weakness, he was still the man to beat. Finally, Roman stood over Seth Rollins, chest heaving, eyes blazing, a living testament to resilience and vengeance. The crowd erupted, half in awe, half in shock. Roman had made it clear, his return was not a plea, not a question, it was a declaration. And Seth Rollins, for all his skill, all his agility, all his cunning, now faced the harsh reality that the tribal chief was back, unstoppable and unrelenting. The cameras cut to black, leaving the WWE Universe in chaos, debates exploding online. Could Seth survive the fury of a Roman Reigns returned? Or was this the beginning of a new era where the tribal chief reasserted his dominance over all challengers? The answers would unfold in the weeks to come. But one thing was certain: Roman Reigns' comeback on a walking stick wasn't just a return, it was the birth of a new war, a testament to power, resilience, and the relentless pursuit of supremacy in WWE. The dust hadn't even settled from Roman Reigns' shocking return when the WWE Universe exploded online. Fans couldn't stop replaying every moment: the slow, menacing walk, the crack of the walking stick, the stare down that felt like it could slice through steel. But backstage, things were even worse. Rumors spread like wildfire. Some wrestlers whispered that Roman's walking stick wasn't a weakness, it was a warning, a signal that even in apparent fragility, the tribal chief had a plan, and he was calculating his next move. Others speculated that Seth Rollins had overstepped, that mocking Roman publicly on Raw was a grave mistake. The reality? WWE was teetering on the edge of chaos. The balance of power had shifted. Roman had returned, but not as the same man. He returned sharper, colder, more dangerous than ever. Every backstage ally knew one thing: this was war. Seth Rollins faces the consequences. Seth Rollins, the architect of chaos himself, had always thrived on arrogance. But standing in the ring with Roman, he realized something he hadn't considered: the tribal chief's mind is always 5 steps ahead. That cane wasn't a symbol of weakness, it was a distraction, a psychological weapon. Every swing, every step Roman took forced Seth to second guess, to hesitate. Hesitation in the ring against Roman Reigns is lethal. Fans noticed. Social media was ablaze with debates. Some said Seth had underestimated Roman, others argued he was still capable of victory. But the tension was undeniable. Roman Reigns' return had thrown the entire locker room into uncertainty. Backstage chaos reigned. Members of the Bloodline were silent, unsure how to react. Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso exchanged glances that screamed concern. The tribal chief's return, walking stick in hand, wasn't just a personal statement, it was a corporate threat. Roman had reminded everyone that he still controlled the narrative, that even while sidelined, he had the power to shake WWE to its core. Producers and creative teams scrambled, trying to figure out how to spin this moment into storylines, but Roman had already written the first chapter with his own presence. Every camera angle, every edit, every reaction was dictated by the tribal chief. The crowd reacts. The arena itself became a battlefield. Fans erupted in chants, divided between those cheering Roman's gritty comeback and those mocking his vulnerability. Every shout, every cheer, every gasp added to the tension. WWE had created a perfect storm. The audience wasn't just watching, they were participants in the drama. When Roman finally dropped the cane, signaling that he didn't need it to assert dominance, the arena erupted. Seth's defiance faltered. The smirk faded. In that moment, the tribal legend proved one thing: Roman Reigns commands respect, even in apparent weakness. Setting up the next war. This confrontation wasn't just about a single night, it set the stage for a saga that could define the next era of WWE. Roman vs. Seth wasn't simply a rivalry, it was a battle for supremacy, for legacy, for the soul of Monday Night Raw. Hints of alliances and betrayals began to surface. Wrestlers who had stood on the sidelines now reconsidered their positions. Could someone align with Seth to take down Roman? Could Roman rally a faction to assert control? The possibilities were endless, and the tension was tangible. The aftermath. By the end of Raw, Roman had made his statement. He had returned, unstoppable, focused, and more dangerous than anyone anticipated. Seth Rollins had been humiliated yet survived, but the psychological damage was done. The message was clear to the WWE Universe: Roman Reigns is back, and anyone who underestimates him will pay the price. Fans flooded social media with theories. Will Seth strike back? Will Roman attack further, walking the line between vengeance and brutality? How will the Bloodline respond to their leader's return? One thing is certain: the WWE landscape has shifted, and the chaos is only beginning. The final tease. The cameras lingered on Roman, walking slowly backstage, the cane in hand, his expression unreadable. He wasn't smiling, he wasn't celebrating. He was calculating, plotting, waiting for the moment to strike again. The tribal chief had returned, and WWE will never be the same. The message was loud and clear: Roman Reigns is here, he is dangerous, and the next chapter of his war with Seth Rollins and anyone else daring to challenge him is coming soon. The WWE Universe waits with bated breath. And they should, because this isn't just wrestling, it's the return of a legend, a reminder that even a broken king can rise to rewrite history.